Tonight on the Black Channel. If I could sum up to you in a single picture why it is that the young do not trust the old politicians, this picture would be it. The Black Channel is live. Unapologetic, unadulterated, and absolutely uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, and the everlasting superfortress of intelligent black thought. We are the Black Media, and this is the Black Channel. And I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the voice of Black America, the Black Authority, broadcasting to you live from the only historically black college and university of higher education and learning in the cosmos. You're, of course, welcome to join us. And join us you shall, because on tonight's program, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot I could cover here. And a lot we will cover tonight, because I think it's time for us to review why it is that young black people do not trust the old and olders, particularly of the political class. There's a reason why you cannot get young black people to come to church. There is a reason why you cannot get young black people to join your civic organizations. There's a reason why you cannot get the young black people to really be mobilized for politics. There's a reason why you can't do that. Because they got eyes. They got eyes, they got ears, they got brains, and they can see exactly what's happening. That's the reason that you can't get them mobilized or involved. And if a picture is worth 1,000 words, this right here says it all. Former so-called Black Panther turned whatever in the world this is. I don't care about the context of it. The optics of this are abysmal. This is not leadership. And then when you find out exactly what it was that was going on, it makes it even worse. Here's the actual article itself that is from. There's the actual article. What I want to do, because I want this to be a little bit more dynamic for you here, I'm going to show you the actual article. I want to read it to you. It's not very long, thankfully. Hopefully it doesn't have more of those pop-ups come up. As you can see there at the top of it, it says, Bronzeville near Southside. Chicago, stand up. Now, I'm not one of these people who talks about Bronzeville. I've been there. Yeah, I've seen a lot of old structures there, but there's a lot of white folk in Bronzeville. Big, tall houses and a lot of white folk around there, and it's very clear what's going on. But as you can see from the headline, former Representative Bobby Rush endorses Paul Vallas in Chicago's mayor's race. So for those of you who know, you got the black fella Brandon Johnson, you got the white dude Paul Vallas, and Bobby Rush is supporting Paul Vallas. I don't have an issue with that necessarily. But the devil is in the details. It goes on to say that the endorsement comes as Brandon Johnson, that's the black politician running, garnered recent support from Representative Jesus Chuy Garcia, Reverend Jesse Jackson, and Alderman Jason Irvin. So basically, the black folk essentially are rallying behind Brandon Johnson, except for old Bobby. Except for Bobby. The Democrats got their hooks in his elderly, funker-winker bean-looking self. All right, it says here, Bronzeville, retired Representative Bobby Rush is throwing his weight behind Paul Vallas for Chicago mayor, the latest in a string of high-profile endorsements for both mayoral candidates, with 2 weeks to go until the April 4th runoff. Vallis, a former Chicago public school CEO, is facing off against Cook County Commissioner Brandon Johnson. Vallis came in first of 9 candidates in the February 28th election, receiving 33% of the vote. Johnson followed with about 22% of the vote. Now, if you saw how the votes actually broke down, you realize that between Lori Lightfoot, Jesus Garcia, Brandon Johnson, and others, it looked like actually if you didn't have the vote being split so much, Brandon Johnson actually would probably come out ahead. And a lot of folk think that's what's going to happen, is that the vote that got behind Lori Lightfoot the first time is simply going to shift and go behind Brandon Johnson this time. But you're going to have to hold an election anyway. It goes on to say, over the past week, Johnson has been endorsed by a former mayoral candidate, Representative Jesus Chuy Garcia, civil rights icon Reverend Jesse Jackson, and Alderman Jason Irvin, 28th chair of City Council's Black Caucus. Oh boy. Rush announced his support for Vallis Tuesday morning at a Southside news conference. A longtime congressman and co-founder of the Illinois Black Panther Party in the 60s, Rush retired last year after 3 decades in office. Representative Jonathan Jackson, the son of Jesse Jackson, won the seat for the 1st Congressional District in November. The younger Jackson has endorsed Johnson. Quote, which of the 2 candidates has the most significant, the most relevant experience, and which of the candidates is able to make the independent, sound judgments that are necessary to move our city forward? That candidate is Paul Vallis, Rush said. And this is the picture right beneath that statement. That's why I'm cropping the frame the way it is so you all can see this. And I just thought that those words need to be placed in close proximity to this picture. And for some strange reason, I just find some eerie connection. I don't know why. I'm not really sure why, but I find some eerie connection. There's just something about this that just says, hello, white daddy. It's just, the young people don't see any masculine leadership from these old Negroes. They don't see any manhood or masculine leadership. There is no alpha male-ism. There isn't anything. Just a bunch of beaten down old dogs. Just a bunch of beaten down old dogs just looking for a hug. Just a bunch of beaten down old dogs looking for a hug. If you all agree with me that you do not trust the elders and olders, if you agree with me that you do not trust them, give me the half full hourglass emoji in the chat room. If you do not trust these old niggas, give me the half full hourglass emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. It's over 2,000 people listening to me live. It's over 2,000 people live. Maybe I got a bunch of Bobby Rush supporters. I don't know. You might as well leave. I'm just going to upset you tonight. You might as well leave and just save yourself the aggravation. I'm just going to upset you. It goes on to say here that Rush had endorsed incumbent Mayor Lori Lightfoot ahead of the February 28th election. Yeah, he was supporting Lightfoot. So in other words, he is bought off and co-opted down the line. They've got a receipt for his elderly backside, and he just does whatever in the world the Democrats tell him to do, even at this advanced, ancient age. They still own him. Kind of makes you wonder how long when he was with the Panthers that they owned him too. All the others got killed, Bobby's here. I just thought I would throw that out there. By the way, many of the others got killed. Bobby is still here and got into politics and hasn't done a damn thing of worth since. Says Rush had endorsed incumbent Mayor Lori Lightfoot ahead of the February 28th election, a marked change from his after he lambasted the then political newcomer in 2019 for her record on police reform. Rush ultimately backed Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle in that election. So I think, what was that, the white woman? Wasn't that Tony Preckwinkle? Wasn't she the white woman who ran in 2019? If I'm not mistaken, Chicago Stand Up. Wasn't Preckwinkle a white woman? I believe Preckwinkle was a white woman. So if that is correct, this all sounds very. She was black. I'm going to say she's black. Okay. I'm thinking about the blonde female. Yeah, I'm thinking about the blonde female. Okay. Bobby was supporting Preckwinkle back then. And when you get to thinking about it, what was the reason for that? They say she was mixed. Okay. Makes a lot of sense. He was trying to go as far as he could. That's why I was asking whether or not she was. Trying to go as far as he could. Okay. Makes sense now. Makes perfect sense now. Well, I guess Bobby was like, well, there's not a mixed woman to vote for this time. So Bobby said there's not a mixed woman to vote for this time. There's not a white woman to vote for this time. So he's going to do the best he can. Rondo, how you think she got high yellow? How you think she got that way? Calm down. Says here that the quote, the opposing candidate is representing the FOP, Rush said at a Preckwinkle rally in March 2019, as reported by the Tribune. If you want the FOP, then you'll vote for Lori. Rush was referencing the Fraternal Order of Police, Chicago's rank-and-file police union, which has opposed reforms and defended officers accused of misconduct. But Lightfoot was not endorsed by the union in 2019 or 2023, while Vallis won the union's support in this year's election. So Bobby Rush was telling you, if you want to vote for the Fraternal Order of Police, vote for Lori Lightfoot. We against the Fraternal Order of Police. Okay, and the guy who's being backed by the Fraternal Order of Police, Bobby's booed up. Bobby's booed up with him this time. Quote, my stance on the FOP and my stance on police in general is that I am not anti-police. I'm anti-bad police and I'm pro-good police, Rush said Tuesday. I think that overall there are more good ponies than there are bad ponies. All right. This is Bobby Rush, y'all. This is Bobby Rush. You wanted to weigh in. Is this your man? All right. Lightfoot, who came in third place on February 28th, has not announced an endorsement plan. Whoever she endorses is probably bound to lose. Here's another picture of Bobby Rush. Here he is again with Paul Vallis. And by the way, do you see all the bought and paid for Negroes walking behind him? Is he really throwing up a black fist? Is Bobby really doing that? Has Bobby gone senile, y'all? Has Bobby gone senile? No, Bobby hasn't gone senile. This has always been Bobby when you think about it. This has always been Bobby when you think it over. You ask yourself, why is it that the young black people do not trust these old niggas? Because we can see you bogus and crooked, and we can see who owns you. So the young do not trust you. Furthermore, nor should they. The young don't trust you, and furthermore, nor should they. The older they get, the more co-opted they become. The older they get, the more co-opted they get. And it doesn't get better as time goes on, as I've attempted to warn you all for years and years now. There's another video I'd like for you to see here as well, courtesy of Sister Teslin. Found this video to be very interesting here as well, on all counts. And of course, it is the old niggas who are causing the problems here. We talked about the Reverend Amos Brown last week here in San Francisco, who was opposing opposing cash reparations, but now he said he was against it. First he said he was for it. First he said he was against it, then he's for it, then he's against it, then he's for it. So basically it just depends on who's asking. So we know what he said in front of Roland Martin. Now you've got a white woman asking. Now you all know my rule on that. If you want to know what a black person truly believes, especially these old Negroes, let a white person ask. Better yet, he got a white woman. So I feel fairly confident that we're going to hear the truth this time. Now that you got a white person asking, and particularly a white woman, I feel fairly confident that now we're going to hear the truth of what he really thinks. So why don't we go ahead and check that out?
The president of the San Francisco NAACP and the pastor of the Third Baptist Church, Reverend Amos C. Brown. Dr. Brown, thanks so much for being here. So $5 million to every black resident. That sounds good to me. That sounds like something, that sounds like a plan that everyone would like who would be a recipient of that. So why don't you like that plan?
Boy, did y'all hear that? And look at the grin, all 4 teeth. Do you all see that grin? Do you see that? Jason, you reaching now. You can't characterize the elder like that. Jason, you can't characterize him that way. Oh, I can't? I can't? Oh, I can't. Okay. Folks, we barely made it, 23 seconds? We ain't 30 seconds in. Do you see him? Soon as she stopped talking, he's all teeth. What he got left? But this is just Jason now, right? This is just Jason. Jason's just making this up as he goes along, right? All right. Okay, it's my fault. Fine.
For being here. So $5 million to every black resident. That sounds good to me. That sounds like something, that sounds like a plan that everyone would like who would be a recipient of that. So why don't you like that plan?
Let me correct something. The board has not agreed to my $5 million plan.
Yeah, it's a proposal. I get it.
I
know. It's a proposal, but why don't you like the proposal?
They haven't agreed to his $5 million plan. Didn't he tell Roland Martin that this just was a number plucked out of thin air by one of the other board members? Now he says my $5 million plan. Boy, I'm telling you, this old dude here is kind of shameless, isn't he? We all heard what he said last week.
Plan.
Let me correct something. The board has not agreed to my $5 million plan.
Yeah, it's a proposal. I get it.
I
know. It's a proposal, but why don't you like the proposal?
Because it has become a laughing stock around this nation, and representatives of it have indicated it was not based on any formula. It was not thought out logically, so that we should not be teasing and tantalizing African Americans. We are in trouble in this city. We need.
Well, now isn't this a change from what he told Roland Martin? Because when he talked to Roland Martin, he was talking about that was just a misprint, remember? Oh no, that's just a misprint. Somebody messed up when they printed up the press release. We always been in favor of cash reparations. We never had a problem with the 5 million number. Now that the white woman is asking, all of a sudden I would say he's backtracking, but now all of a sudden he's lining up with that press release he put out. All of a sudden he's lining up with that press release now. As I told you all, I've been telling you for going on over a decade and a half now, if you want to know what a black person truly believes, put a white person in front of them. And you'll find out everything you want to know. So all of a sudden now, what he told Roland Martin, he done walked that back now, hasn't he? Now, all of a sudden, he got a different perspective. All of a sudden, it's not an absolute. All of a sudden now, he got something different to say.
And representatives of it have indicated it was not based on any formula. It was not thought out logically, so that we should not be teasing and tantalizing African Americans. We are in trouble in this city. We need action now. We've had far too many studies, too many analyses, too many suggestions. And if the board were serious about that, this past Tuesday, they would have in principle supported cash payments and suggesting a plan for payment, even though, as some say, we have a deficit, we can't do anything now. Well, deficits don't last always. And even in Germany, Germans pay by installment. I'm looking for, and the NACP is looking for, real action and not intentionality. We've talked too much about reparations. In fact, it was the NACP branch that introduced the idea in 2019. So we can't be like Jack.
By the way, do you all notice his internet connection ain't all janky this time? When he talked to Roland, the internet connection was janky. It's not all janky this time, so maybe the problem was Roland. Maybe the problem is Roland. He got that Krispy Kreme broadband, I guess. I don't know. I just noticed the connection's not messed up. But by the way, he's talking about we need a concrete plan. The plan is cash payments. That's the only plan you need. Well, we need to have a plan.
Real action and not intentionality. We've talked too much about reparations. In fact, it was the NACP branch that introduced the idea in 2019. So we can't be like Jack and the Bear, making tracks, but getting nowhere. Even this U.S. Congress of this nation has not acted on reparations in principle, and 70% of the nation are against it. Now is the time for all fair-minded, informed, loving, just citizens to join us as African Americans and support us as we supported reparations for the Japanese and for the Jewish community. That's the bottom line issue. We are not against cash payments, but we want sincere action and not optics.
So you don't think this is a so sorry to interrupt, but you don't think this is a serious proposal by the Board of Supervisors?
It's not on the board what has happened. The board has not acted. It was a representative of the task force who threw out this number without any basis for it. And people are entitled to their opinions. But on issues like this, you need facts and you need practicality. And that's the only thing the NACP is looking for.
That ain't what the hell you said on Roland Martin's program last week when you was standing in front of black folk talking. That wasn't what you was saying then, nigga. Jason, you call him nigga? I sure did. Now, he wasn't saying this last week when I played the audio last week of him talking to Roland Martin. He wasn't talking like this. He said cash payments, absolutely. I'm all in favor of it. Cash payments, they ain't supporting my plan. Cash payments. Now, all of a sudden, we need practicality. What? So now all of a sudden it's impractical? We need practical and rooted in reality and rooted in facts. He wasn't saying this last week. When he had to be accountable to the people, he wasn't talking like this last week. Now he left out of there talking to Roland. He dropped one Zoom connection, picked up another one to CNN. The white woman's asking him, and all of a sudden, he done put on his tap shoes. He's doing Step and Fetch It and Bojangles. So that's what I was letting y'all know. By the way, if you want to know what the roadblock is and the stumbling block is, now when it comes to breaking off money for their janky ass little old church apartments he running, he's going to want to get a blank check for that. For everybody else, though, is, wait a minute now, we need to be practical. There's only so much money to give, and me and the church should get us about $500 million. This is why young black people don't trust the church. Because you've got a bunch of old grifting, failed pimps sitting up in there. And in their twilight years, they're trying to figure out how they can sponge some more and hold everybody else back because he thinks that he's the best person to run it. He thinks your reparations money should go to him, that the city should give the money to him, and then he can decide what gets done with it. Just understand what you're really hearing. He wants you to give the money to him. give the money to him, the NAACP, so them old niggas can control it, and then they'll decide what needs to be done with their white paymasters standing behind them saying, okay, Amos, now here's where the money gonna go. Yes, sir, boss. I definitely do agree with your plan. Very good, Amos. Now shut up and pass me the check.
Not actor. It was a representative of the task force who threw out this number without any basis for it. And people are entitled to their opinions. But on issues like this, you need facts and you need practicality. And that's the only thing the NAACP is looking for. Real action and not suggestions.
Thank you. Dr. Brown, I really appreciate you clarifying all of that for us and explaining your position.
I appreciate it too. But by the way, we're not done yet.
And what you're hoping for in the city of San Francisco. Thank you very much for your time.
Is a bright center of the universe where all good ideas come from. The San Francisco Board of Supervisors is as far from that place as you could possibly be. This, like the great gotcha question in politics today is, can you define woke? Well, let me just tell you, Exhibit A. This is the wokest, craziest thing that you could possibly imagine. And had you put the details of it up on the screen.
By the way, he says those words without ever explaining what it means. Why, this is the wokest thing, without ever saying what it is that is quote unquote woke about it. Other than that, it refers to black people. He doesn't actually ever say what it is that actually is in the plan. What about this is so quote woke.
Without telling me the city, I would have guessed it on the first try. Because only San Francisco could come, the worst managed city in America, maybe, other than, a couple of others we've had talked about lately on this show. But it's.
Are you sure there are no cities in West Virginia, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Arkansas, Louisiana, Texas, Kansas? Are you sure that there are no cities there? Because last time I checked, San Francisco has some of the highest housing values in the country and basically on the planet. So, are you sure about that, sir? Perhaps you should call David Duke so you can get some more suggestions.
One of the worst. And if I lived there or knew someone that lived there, or had family there, I'd be telling them to get a real estate agent somewhere else. Lord have mercy. This is.
Do you notice he doesn't say what it is about this quote so woke. He never says it. This is awful. It's a terrible idea. This San Francisco is an awfully run city. But he never says what it is that is quote unquote woke about it. So woke is simply a euphemism for black folk. Woke, BLM, thug, protester, Muslim. That's just another word for black folk. And that's all it means. By the way, if he doesn't even live in San Francisco, why the hell does he care if he doesn't even live in San Francisco?
It's divisive, it's unrealistic, and I can't even begin to imagine.
What do you think the right number is, Scott?
0. The right number is 0. The Reverend said 70% of Americans don't agree with this idea. Well, there's a reason for that. Because 70% of Americans don't think it's fair, they don't think it's right, and they think there are better ways for this country to provide opportunity to everybody.
So understand, the hardcore white supremacists are coming out and, the number is 0. There is no racism. There is no white supremacy. Everything's just fine. And by the way, he said there's better ways to provide opportunity. Excuse me, but if we don't need reparations, then why do we need opportunities? If there is no systemic racism, why do you need better ways to provide, quote, opportunities? If nothing's wrong, then we shouldn't need any, quote, opportunities. But if you have to acknowledge that we're being denied opportunities, then you are conceding something's terribly wrong. And all these plans, from the New Deal to the Great Society to every damn thing else, those were supposed to expand opportunities and affirmative action, anything else. It doesn't work. This is something that will work. And what do you know? He wants to stand in the way of that. Now, when it comes to Ukraine, I wonder what he feels about that. When it comes to what white folk want, break the bank. When it comes to bailing out white banks, white car companies, white aerospace companies, spare no horses. Don't spare a dime. You throw everything you need to at it. When black folks show up, then they get mobilized. He's talking about it's divisive. Being against justice and reparations is divisive with his alt-right haircut.
On this show, but it's one of the worst. And if I lived there or knew someone that lived there, I had family there, I'd be telling them to get a real estate agent somewhere else. Lord have mercy. This is divisive. It's unrealistic, and I can't even begin to imagine.
What do you think the right number is, Scott?
0. The right number is 0. The Reverend said 70% of Americans don't agree with this idea. Well, there's a reason for that. Because 70% of Americans don't think it's fair, they don't think it's right, and they think there are better.
Politicians like him ignore the majority of the American public all the time. They ignore it all the time. They ignore it every time. Since when have they given a damn about what the majority of Americans want? Whether it's vaccines, whether it's surveillance, whether it's being spied on, whether it's giving money to Ukraine. Since when has he ever cared about what the majority of Americans want? Now, all of a sudden, he's concerned about what 70% want, all of a sudden. Or at least what he claims 70% want. Since when has that been the metric that we've used? Because if that's the metric, there should be other things you should be doing, shouldn't there be?
The Reverend said 70% of Americans don't agree with this idea. Well, there's a reason for that. Because 70% of Americans don't think it's fair. They don't think it's...
By the way, old Reverend Amos is off code as hell. When you're in a conversation like this, you're never supposed to say things like, most people are against reparations, 70% are against it. This is why you don't need to have these old two-faced niggas sitting around. They say that, and next thing you know, the white supremacist, the suspected white supremacist politician comes right up behind him. And see, old Reverend Amos over there, old Reverend Wally Amos, famous Amos over there, he said that most people don't want reparations. He said, notice, he's hiding behind it. Why, even the Reverend says 70% of people don't support it. See? That's the reason why they keep trotting him out, including the host on CNN.
0. The right number is 0. The Reverend said 70% of Americans don't agree with this idea. Well, there's a reason for that. Because 70% of Americans don't think it's fair, they don't think it's right, and they think there are better ways for this country to provide opportunity to everybody. And everybody does deserve opportunity, but this is divisive.
I think the 5 million number,
Now here comes Deval Patrick, little Miss Sweet Booty himself. CNN knew what they were doing. They didn't get competent people who could argue in black folks' defense. They go and grab dependable Negroes whose job it is to talk down reparations. They go grab somebody whose job it is to talk it down. They're acknowledging what you're saying. They're acknowledging what you're saying about reparations. They're acknowledging it. They're having the discussion. And then they bring on some black faces to tell you that's not what you really need. They bring on the white man and then they bring on the black former politician who are both going to try to tell you the same thing. What you don't need. There's no reason to have all those people sitting up there if they're all going to say the same thing. But it's to give the optics. See, Deval Patrick is black like you, and he doesn't think 5 million. He doesn't think you need to give a payout like that. Now, listen to what he says, because by the way, if you think I'm overstating it, listen to what Deval Patrick says. He doesn't back down from it.
Everybody does deserve opportunity, but this is divisive.
I think the 5 million number, embedded in this list of 100 ideas, had exactly the impact that the advisory board intended, which was to have a sensational number. I don't know that the number is 0, Scott. I would tell you honestly, I struggle a little bit with the whole concept of reparations, not because I think reparations are wrong, but because I think reparations without reconciliation are really meaningless.
So you see, one of these old washed up has-beens from the Barack Obama era, This is the reason why you get one of these old Northeastern washed up has-beens from the Barack Obama era. They send him out there for that purpose. He's here to talk it down. And he tells you that we need reconciliation. We need to get in our feelings. We talking about cash payments and justice, and he's talking about, if we could all just sit together and reconcile. I don't need to reconcile with suspected white supremacists. I don't need to reconcile with them. There ain't nothing to reconcile about. We don't need to sit up here and have a sing-along. We're not here to sit at the table of brotherly love. These are not our brothers. They are the enemy. They murder. They kill. They destroy families. They murder children. They rape women and then tell you that you deserved it. They make laws to condone it. They erase and rewrite history books to blot it out. There is no reconciling with the devil. And furthermore, it is treason for any Negro to sit up here and say we need to reconcile with the damn devil. These are satanic monsters. There's no reason whatsoever for us to try to find someone. You don't try to reconcile. You don't negotiate with terrorists, and you don't reconcile with monsters. But you got to understand, see, Deval Patrick is not worried about that. See, he gets security, and he lives in a big swanky neighborhood where he's far away from those kind of things, and he's next door to the white supremacists. So you take a look at how this suspected white supremacist politician's face changed when they asked him about reparations for the folk of the soil. Take a look at how evil and serious he looks when you ask him about that. Look how evil and serious he looks there. He's all stone-faced and evil. You take a look at how wicked and devious he looks. How demonic he looks when you ask about that. You take a look at this demonic bastard when you ask him about reparations. But when he talks to Deval Patrick, you take a look right there. Hey, we got my little safe nigga over here. Yeah, because you're no threat. Take a look at his face. You're no threat. He knows you. You're a known quantity. He knows you're not here to buck the system. He knows you're here to try to preserve your place in it. See, this is the fallacy of voting for the black politicians who refuse to endorse and support the soil. They've already been bought off. They are simply presented to you because they've been handpicked by the political establishment because they know they are not going to do anything. Deval Patrick is sitting there and CNN brought him on for that purpose. They brought him on specifically for the purpose of sitting there and doing exactly what he's doing right now. They brought Deval Patrick. You could have gotten any number of other people who would have been better to speak about this. They brought Deval Patrick because they already knew what he was going to say. So you have the white politician talking about you don't need reparations, and then you have Deval Patrick. I've thought it over, and I'm not sure you need reparations. That's your black representation. That's your so-called black representation.
The impact that the advisory board intended, which was to have a sensational number.
So he's saying, well, you don't have to take their suggestion real. You don't have to take it seriously. I mean, it was just, it was just to be sensational. It's just symbolic. It was just meant to get attention. That was all they really wanted. They didn't really want to do. It was just meant to get attention. So as I said, he's made it his job to try to talk this down the whole time. He's here to talk it down.
Had exactly the impact that the advisory board intended, which was to have a sensational number. I don't know that the number is zero, Scott. I would tell you honestly, I struggle a little bit with the whole concept of reparations, not because I think reparations are wrong, but because I think reparations without reconciliation are really meaningless. There is a conversation we have to have. There is an understanding that we have to arrive at about not just our history, but our present, and how it is we share this America, and why it's important that we share this America.
So, in other words, y'all got to understand, when you have bootlicking coons like Deval Patrick, when he says how we share this America, what he means is black people just eating the loss. Well, you know, black folk been messed over. I got my seat in politics, and I got my little check for me. But for the rest of black society, you know, maintaining America means y'all just gotta hold this L. Well, we don't want to sit up here and shake things up, so y'all just need to hold this L. And we'll do some minor things, but we're not going to do any revolutionary things. See, what happened to you was brutal and revolutionary, but we ain't going to do nothing brutal and revolutionary to resolve it and fix it, because we're not trying to fix it. So if we need to have a discussion about how we share this thing. Well, we ain't got nothing to share. Yeah, that's what we need to discuss, about how we maintain the system the way it is right now and don't make any actual real changes.
About not just our history, but our present, and how it is we share this America, and why it's important that we share this America, and that we deal with all of the barriers for whomever is experiencing those.
Do you see that? This is that right. This is that talking about black folks, but not really black talk. What barriers for whoever it is, for whoever it is. You see that right there? He's de-blacking the conversation, which is why CNN specifically chose him. This was a very nefarious move on CNN's part. They chose him for this nefarious reason, to bring him there to try to talk it down and de-black it and space it out to everybody, and talk about whoever it is who needs it.
We share this America, and why it's important that we share this America, and that we deal with all of the barriers for whomever is experiencing those barriers to the fruits and the promise of this America.
He's talking about immigrants and LGBT. He's talking about illegal aliens and LGBT. That's who he's talking about. He's talking about illegal aliens and LGBT. We need to remove all the barriers for whoever wants to do whatever they want to do. That's LGBT and illegal aliens.
Deal with all of the barriers for whomever is experiencing those barriers to the fruits and the promise of this America. That work, I think, is worthy work. I don't think it's right to call that work woke and dismiss it. I think that's important, patriotic work. I really believe that. And whether that then enables or makes possible financial compensation in this, taking from among these ideas or others, I think remains to be seen.
So they chose Deval Patrick, this very insipid, this very devious individual here, who they know he's nothing but a bootlicking, shameless politician who is still telling himself, y'all got to understand, he's still telling himself that he can run for president. Oh, we haven't forgotten, Deval. You're still telling yourself that you're in the running to run for president. He doesn't quite know how he's going to get there right now. But Deval Patrick is one of these individuals who's been sitting in the wings of the Democratic Party. And if you'll all remember, when Obama was running for president, they were floating around Deval Patrick's name as like vice presidential candidate or something. Or was he going to run for president in 2020? They were sharing his name around and bandying his name around and sitting up here circulating his name about, oh, you could run for president. See, that's that little carrot on the stick they hold out for the shameless and the gutless and the brainless. You know, like Stacey Abrams. Hey, Stacey, if you get as many black folk as possible to register to vote, you could be governor of Georgia. Yeah, you could. Hey, Andrew Gillum, if you register as many black folk as possible, why, you could be the governor of Florida or senator. You sure could, Andrew. Come on now. Come on. Hey, Deval Patrick, if you don't make a bunch of waves, hey, look what we did for Obama. Hey, brother, look what we did for Obama, brother. We can get you there, man. Don't make no waves. Don't make no problems. Don't upset the status quo. Hey, we can get you there, man. Just don't say the wrong thing. Don't say the wrong thing, Deval. Don't be too controversial, brother. This is why the young people took to the streets. This is why the young people don't want to go to a ballot box, because they're already hip to the game. What the civil rights generation spent their whole damn lives chasing and failing, the young folk got it very, very early. They don't need anybody to tell them. They already know. They already know. The young folk don't need anybody to inform them. They already know what's happening. They've been listening to the new black media. They're already plugged in. They already know. There is no plan that we need for that. There is no plan that you need for that. We don't need to sit around and start hugging people and singing Kumbaya and doing everything but dealing with the actual problem. Soon as we start talking about doing something concrete and tangible for black people, they start giving you all the damn excuses in the world. This is why after the pandemic, you're not going to be able to sell that lie as easily as you were before. You see, the pandemic messed up a whole damn lot because they showed folk that the United States government has as much money as it needs for whatever it needs. As much money as it needs for whatever and anything that it needs. Whatever they need it for. They just turn on the printing presses and here we go. But when we show up, all of a sudden, hey, wait a minute now, we need to be fiscally responsible. We can't just throw money around like that. Oh, look, our pockets on E. Illegals show up in New York. Oh, don't worry, we got $300 million on deck. No committee, no study, no budget reconciliation, no vote. Oh, the citizens don't get a vote on that one. Talk about divide. The citizens don't get a vote on that. We don't need to have you vote. We don't need to have you vote on anything. No, as I told y'all last week, and this is too important for democracy to get involved. Democracy doesn't need to be involved in this. We got our own ideas. We don't need democracy right now. So when black folks show up, all of a sudden the Constitution flies out the damn window. All of a sudden the Constitution flies out the window and nobody cares. Nobody cares about the Constitution anymore. Nobody cares about anything when we show up. This is why the young black folk don't trust them. And they shouldn't. Because they've been co-opted and bought off. They work for the very people that they're telling you they're going to protect you against. But then again, they never tell you they're going to protect you against anybody either. They just say, go ahead and vote for me. Vote for me, cross your fingers, hope for the best. I think we just need to sit and reconcile. Sit and reconcile. How in the hell do you sit and reconcile with a hardcore in the paint white supremacist sitting up here telling you the number ain't no racism, the number is 0. He's not presenting a plan of his own that we can get behind. He's telling you, when he says the number is 0, what he's saying is there is no racism, there is no problem. You just need to let the status quo remain the way it is. Because he's gotten all kinds of unearned benefits from his whiteness, and he's like, I'll be damned, I'm not qualified to do anything else. I don't want to compete. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters from around the world, the system of white supremacy was constructed for one purpose and one purpose only, to ensure in perpetuity till the end of time that white people are given prosperity they did not earn, and that they will never, never, ever in perpetuity have to compete for. That you have a permanent, eternal, everlasting, perpetual caste system with white people at the top, black folk firmly and squarely at the bottom until the end of existence. And that is what white supremacy is about. And everything you see them do, everything you see them say, everything you see them move on is to reinforce that. When they get caught, then they go back and try to rewrite it a little bit and put a little bit of a spin on it and dress it up in a different pair of shoes. But it's still the same problem child. They put a different pair of shoes on the problem child, but it's the same problem child. You come back and say, hey, there's a problem, child. Ooh, let me get these shoes off. Man, the problem ain't the shoes. Oh, okay, let me put some boots on him. Okay, the damn problem ain't no boots. It's the damn child. Well, let me see if we can put some galoshes on him. So when we start talking seriously, everybody starts talking crazy. We start talking seriously and everyone starts talking to us crazy. And what they do is they trot out their bought and paid for, very comfortable, very safe old niggas, shove a microphone in their face, and the first thing they do is start talking down about changing. I'm not sure. How the hell can you not be sure about I struggle with it. When you say that, Duvall, you are disqualified for speaking for black people ever again till the end of time. You are done. Our liberation is not up for a vote, and if you're not sure about our liberation, then you don't need to speak ever again. Period. Period. You're done talking. You're done. These folks do these things for a reason. They made it very clear where they stand on that, but they've also made it very clear that they see the old folk, these old black politicians, man, you're going to have to clear the damn floor. All the old black politicians got to go. Not some of them, all of them. All of them. Every single one got to go. There's no room for them because they're in the way and they are showing you that they are united in their belief of being against you. Then again, you may disagree. Therefore, we're going to go ahead and open up the telephone lines here in just a moment. We're going to open up the telephone lines. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Your personal access code to the blackest radio program in existence, the only one of its kind on planet Earth today. And we'll be taking your phone calls here. Before we do, I want to thank everyone, and everybody who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, CashApp, Super Chat. B1 Media is a lifesaver. Thank you very much. My man, Mr. Richburg, everybody else who's contributed to support tonight's program. Let me just go ahead and just take this very brief commercial, non-commercial break. When we come back, we're going to see about taking your phone calls. This is the Black Channel.
Venark Motion Pictures, your leading production house for handmade, high-end movies for us, by us. Grab your popcorn and drinks as Venark Motion Pictures presents you with binge-worthy visual entertainment that will leave you breathless. Stream all our titles for free. Visit our website to see Noxious, Noxious 2, Cold Case, and Valley of the Queens. Planned Obsolescence. These power-packed, innovative, and unforgettable flicks tick the boxes of all you could ever want in a movie. And coming soon to keep you at the edge of your seat. Await our most anticipated movie release. Escape from Velocity. Venark Motion Pictures. Broadcast excellence. Look for us on Tubi, Amazon, and wherever movies are streamed.
P23 lines can help you find your flow. Revolutionizing healthcare to self-care. P23, making that healthier.
Order yours today to experience all the benefits of Ash Kickin' Natural Body Butter. With skin so smooth and soft, you'll thank us for it. Shop Ash Kickin' online. That's ASHKICKIN.com.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. My name is Joe Jackson. I'm a foundational Black American, and I entered the field of IT with the goal of helping the family globally. The industry's been changing, and I've learned a lot. But how did we get here? How do we navigate issues we face in the workplace? How can we get our house in order? Read The Concept and Intricacies of Being Black in IT, now on Amazon, as well as the best-selling Guide to Being Black in IT. Go to beingblackInIT.com.
More Threads, a brand owned by a descendant of Black American freedmen, was created to uniquely address Black American history and contributions that have been intentionally hidden and suppressed. Use their apparel and more to learn and share the Black American history of Black inventions, heroes, towns, Black business districts, and more. Sign up and support not only a Black-owned business, but a movement at www.morethread.co.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slaveries and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is The Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening. I'm going to go to the phone lines here in just a moment. The telephone number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. But before I do, I want to go to a story here. You've seen one side of it. I want to show you all what it looks like when you got Black folk at the zenith of our abilities and what that really looks like. There was a person who died this week, and you don't know who he was, but you do know who he was. You don't know who he was, but you do know who he was. And I'm going to go ahead and play the video here from ABC 7 in Chicago. The end of an era, but hopefully the beginning of a new one.
Felt that I could make a product as good as some of the items I was selling.
The world knew Edward Gardner as a successful businessman. Chicago knew Ed Gardner as a dedicated civil leader.
He was an incredible businessman. He was, I think, an even better person.
His grandson Kyle knew him as Poppy.
But to us, deep down inside, he still is always, that Poppy, on the boat teaching us how to hook a bass.
The creator and founder of Soft Sheen hair care products held many titles in his long life, but his family says his legacy will be his dedication to others.
He never failed to answer the call when he was called upon to help the city grow.
Gardner invested his life's work in the Southside community he grew up in.
He was always instilling with us, and he always emphasized that life and your career and your vocation was about more than just business.
Gardner, a World War II veteran and former Chicago public school teacher, was a man of service and selflessness. He spoke about his commitment to philanthropy in an interview back in 2012.
The business wasn't the only objective of our company. We were still a family that had felt that we should give back as much as we possibly could. Come on, sweetie.
Together, he and his wife Betty raised a hair care empire and 4 children while also serving the city. In the 1980s, Gardner registered more than 200,000 people to vote. A couple years later, he restored the Regal Theater.
And when he saw a need, he was so excited to jump in.
And in 2012, Gardner led 1,000 demonstrators protesting the need for more Black workers at a Southside construction site.
The one thing for me I really take away from him was just that bravery. It was about what can you do to really help those, coming up next behind you.
Kyle said his grandfather was a man who loved Chicago, and Chicago loved him right back. In a 2004 interview, Gardner shared where he found his happiness.
The joy is knowing that in my latter days of life, I continue to provide enjoyment for our community. Feel that I can.
That's just a very important thing for me. That's a very important thing for me because when we talk about the days of Madam C.J. Walker, when we talk about those things, y'all got to understand, you're talking about Soft Sheen, man, that was sold all over America. Black folk all over America use that. I remember seeing that as a child. Nobody had to whoop your ass to get you to understand the value of that. We understood the value of that. We understood the value of that. Black women had nothing but their real hair back then. Today they're sitting up here gluing stuff in and it looks crazy. They had their real hair back then and it looked great. There's a lesson to be learned here. But more than that, he took the money and used it to empower other black people. But the reason we need reparations is because we don't need just one person to get through here or there, because they strangled the system to make sure that you get one or two people through, but not enough to break the walls down. But your black politicians didn't do things like that. These were black folk that they got their money and they didn't just sit up here and go buy a damn Rolls Royce and a gold chain and go sit in the damn suburbs, getting coked out and weeded out. You see, this was when you had a black empowerment class. They replaced that with your entertainment class, and that includes your so-called athletes. Now you have an entertainer class that is nothing but a bunch of well-paid employees beholden to the very people who are out to get you. A radical difference from what we've had previously. A radical difference. There's nothing wrong necessarily with being in the entertainment business, but when you start elevating the value of entertainers over the value of actual builders, you're not going to survive. You got to know what the value of this is. Your entertainers are not going to come do nothing for you. Your entertainers, they pick them. And let's be very clear about when it comes to professional sports, they ain't getting the best and brightest. Sometimes they get some pretty talented people. But if you sit up here and pull a Kyrie Irving, all of a sudden nobody cares about your athletic ability anymore. They don't care if you can run the fastest, jump the highest. They don't care about that. If you are coming in the door and you are going to dismantle white supremacy, your athletic ability is worthless. Your singing ability is useless. Your genius is irrelevant. If that genius is going to dismantle the system of white supremacy, they like, man, damn that. But I got the cure for cancer. Yeah, we'll just keep investing in chemotherapy. You going to overturn the system. There's not enough money or health in the world that is worth that. What is the point or the use of continuing the system if you're going to run it and we won't? So when you talk about black folk who were in the struggle and did something, they didn't just give lip service, they did something. Maybe they couldn't do everything, but they didn't let the fact that they couldn't do everything stop them from what they could do. And they want you to believe the best example you can have is rappers and ball players. This is why we have to have an entrepreneurial class that takes control of the community and the soil and the resources and shows them that, you know what, our ability to succeed is not dependent on how tall you were born or how fast you can run or specific coincidental genetics. Or whether or not you can turn some sex tricks and get a record deal. That's a dangerous precedent to set, which is why they've been working overtime to make sure that we don't set it. However, you might disagree. Therefore, the telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933, your personal access code to the Black Channel. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, CashApp, Super Chat, Venmo. Mr. Johnson, thank you very much. Mr. Saunders, Mark B, Andrew L, Mr. Jules, Roberta, and everybody else who's contributed to support tonight's program tonight. Thank you very much for your support. Let me go ahead and go to the telephone lines. Let me get caller from area code 773. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
I'm Alan, Jason. This is Alan from Chicago.
Alan from Chicago. What's on your mind?
What's on my mind, brother? Good show. By the way, I just wanted to tell you, you're absolutely right about Bobby Rush. You know, what happened, he was on Fred Hampton security detail. He was bought off not to go over there to protect Brother Fred. He was bought off. He He was bought off. He was frightened off, whatever you want to call it, at 2317 West Monroe. I'm a Chicago boy. I'm from the west side of Chicago. Yeah, that nigga, he's a Sambo ass nigga. He just trying to secure his bag for his family. That's all he doing, bro.
I'm not sure what Bobby was doing back in the 60s and 70s specifically, but I know for a fact what he's not done in the last 25 years. And that right there is shameful and disgraceful enough. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. I don't care if he was doing backflips for us back in the 60s and 70s. He didn't stick the landing. He's fumbled the ball. Caller from area code 510, you're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good evening and a big B1 salute to you, Mr. Jason Black. This is Black Voltron calling on the deep east side, Oakland, California.
All right, Black Voltron, what's on your mind, brother?
Well, first I want to give, rest in peace, a big shout out to Mr. Ed Gardner, because me and my family use soft sheen products all the time. And, we need about 1 million more Ed Gardners out here, as far as foundational Black Americans, because like you're saying, we definitely need an entrepreneurial class to, just take the narrative away from these coons and Sambos. And speaking of coons and Sambos, got one across the bay called Amos Brown, and I need to inform everybody of what the hell is going on, because it seems like there's some pieces missing out of this story. Just want to let everybody know that Sambo Amos Brown was a San Francisco supervisor from 1996 to 2001. Also, Amos Brown is not only the head of the NAACP in San Francisco, he's also the vice chairman of the California Reparations Task Force. So let's see if he comes with all this goddamn, Sambo energy he had on those talk shows. What's he going to say next Wednesday and Thursday, March 29th and 30th? Because he's got a reckoning to deal with. And unfortunately, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make it, these Reparations Task Force meetings, but I'm definitely going to be able to make the May and or June one. But that nigga been a Sambo forever. It's funny. Amos Brown wanted to tell us, Black folks, in the San Francisco and the Bay, that we don't need reparations. We need, housing vouchers, a goddamn education. I don't need no goddamn education at 52 years old. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. Cut the check. But when it came time for the NAACP to get a check from Wells Fargo, $50 million, they didn't take it in the form of free food,
scholarships,
vouchers, education, or some other foolish, non-tangible nonsense. They took a goddamn check from Wells Fargo.
They didn't ask for scholarships. They didn't ask for green stamps. They didn't ask for a voucher. They didn't ask for an IOU. They didn't ask for free tickets on Carnival. They cut the check for them. So this is what I mean by they co-opt these folks. That's why they want folk like him to be the spokespeople. And the really insidious, dangerous thing about him is he's on the damn task force. That's the killing part about it.
Right.
They chose him. Of all the folk they could have chosen, they chose him.
Right. So here's the thing, Jason. What are we going to do as Black folks to get that coon up out of there? Because clearly he's a plant sitting here to keep us in the state of California from getting reparations. He put his cards on the table already. He made his move. He's against us. He hates Black folks. Time to get rid of that coon. Time to get rid of that coon. He exposed himself.
What you do,
nigga got to go.
The most important thing that can be done is being done right now. The very fact that the moment he said that, folk wasn't quiet. You all have to understand what's happening in California for the statewide task force. It wasn't given. Folk had to stand up and make it clear that you're watching. That you're watching, that you're paying attention, that you are not ignoring it, that you are watching this. You're not sitting back and just taking somebody's word for it, that you heard something that wasn't right. What they want to know is how much noise is going to be made. Because recognize, last week when he talked to Roland Martin, he wasn't saying none of this mess. He had a whole different tune when he was over there. He gets around the white folk, now he feels like he got a little more cover, so he starts walking it backwards slowly and then faster. He's worried about being seen. He is worried about being seen. When he thinks he's invisible, the real thing starts creeping out. What they're worried about is whether or not you're watching and paying attention. Because let's be very, very clear. The only way that this task force can do its job and go away, it can't do its job and go away if the people are screaming the whole time, no, this is not reparations. So they're going to have to as long as we are vocal about this and are loud about this and make it very, very clear that we know what reparations is and this bull jive y'all talking about ain't it. As long as we keep doing that, all they're doing there, they recognize it can't be a win because all you're going to have to do is run it back. You're going to have to run it back. We're going to be back here again. The folk you're talking to are not going to leave because they're saying the whole time, hey, this ain't reparations. So then it becomes an exercise in futility. But if they can hold these meetings and nobody is making noise, nobody's kicking up dust, nobody's raising a ruckus, nobody is saying, or you don't have enough people saying that this is not reparations, that's what they're trying to get through. Where it at least has the optics or gives the appearance that, hey, everybody was on board. Everybody thought it was fine, brother. We thought it was fine over there. And, look, we had Reverend Amos. He's with your NAACP, and he's staunch. He said cash reparations, and then you look up, you don't have any. So I know it seems a certain way. Let me try this a different way. If you all remember back in July, and I know how you felt, but if you remember back in July, when I went down to New Orleans to go bump fists with Roland Martin.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all remember that dude who was on Twitter? I mean, his chest was out. Oh, he's been to Pace University, and he's talking all greasy about descendants of slaves. And then I did my Twitter space on that Tuesday, and remember what I told people? I said, we're going to call Pace University. And because we don't have a lot of strategists like that, they didn't understand what the strategy was. But I saw his Twitter page, I saw his Twitter profile, and I'm like, this tether puts his value on that damn degree. He puts his value in where he thinks he sees his standing in the academic community, because they don't actually have a standing, but it's symbolic. And I said, call Pace University. Everybody said, he doesn't work there. I said, yeah, keep calling them. We want them to disown him. And everybody didn't understand why I wanted that so badly. But if you've never tried to get a degree or a PhD, you might not understand. I said, ring the phones off the hook. Pace University is going to have to make a public statement. I want Pace University to make a public statement, because there you have an educational institution that he got his paper from, and in academic circles, you're going to get them to mention him by name and call him out. Remember, he tried to talk tough, like he didn't care that was going on. He didn't care that was happening. All the eyes were on him. Pace University puts out that tweet, and I'll be damned if he doesn't go radio silent. But when he did resurface, he was every type of apologetic, conciliatory, I don't want no more smoke. You know what? I'm going to just stick to talking about what I've been talking about. All of a sudden, he got a big-ass bucket of act right. I know it seems innocuous. I know. But that's the power right there of simply staying on the scene, keeping your eyes on it and not stopping talking. Everything can't be done marching down the streets. Everything can't be done with bonfires.
That's right.
Everything can't be done with barricades and blockades. There's some things that have to be done with different type of negotiations. So the strategy is real simple. Everything hinges on how much they think people are paying attention. If they think that you're not really paying attention, you're going to get some bull job thing go through. They're going to tell you, well, we did reparations. Bye, get out of our face. If you really want it, remember what Dr. John Henry Clark said. We were at a pivotal time when the establishment would have given us anything we wanted back in the 60s. And instead, we said we wanted reparations. Well, Jason, how do we get what we need? Let them know we're on your ass this time. We are watching. We're following every meeting. We're following every council. We're following every commission. We're following every Zoom meeting. We are on deck, and we are going to be very vocal to make it clear to anybody listening, hey, you can't even lie about it. If we feeling it, you're going to know. If we ain't feeling it, we're going to let everybody know before we leave. Hey, we ain't feeling it. No. The answer is no. No, I'm not here to be nice. I'm here to disrupt. No, this ain't reparations. You bull jiving. This ain't reparations. Reverend Wally Amos, this ain't reparations. Cash payments on
That's
deck,
right.
$5 million. There's nothing unreasonable about that number. You talk impractical. There's nothing impractical about that number. All them damn tech cities hubs y'all got here, you rolled out the red carpet for them. Nobody was complaining about the budget then. Nobody was worried about deficits then. When Mayor Lee was kicking all this off, nobody was concerned about deficits when Mayor Lee was saying, hey, break the bank. Okay, you gonna keep that energy. No, $5 million is not impractical nor unrealistic. You keep that energy and you gonna see things change. That's the strategy.
Will do. Just real quick for everybody within the sound of my voice in the state of California, stay on Amos Brown's ass. Blow up the NAACP San Francisco's social media. And for those that can, next week, Wednesday, March 29th, and Thursday, March 30th, is the next California Reparations Task Force hearing in Sacramento. All right? You can go to my Twitter page and just, or look around and see whenever it is, what time and what building is going to be. But we got to stay on Amos Brown's ass because he's a coon. He's a super Sambo. He was in the city of San Francisco, Fillmore district, where you supposedly represented, while gentrification started and got rid of damn near everybody, all the black folks in the Fillmore. Fillmore ain't the Mo no more. The Mo is gone. The black folks are gone not only out of Fillmore, Hunters Point, Double Rock, HP, Bayview. Black folks are gone. There's hardly any black people in San Francisco, period. Get that coon nigga the hell up out of here. He's an agent in disguise. Fuck Amos Brown. And I land on that. B1.
B1, brother, I can't even say he's in disguise. Can't even say that. He ain't even disguised well. Caller from area code 702. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, what's going on? I'm Mongo Afro. And
where are you calling from, Mongo? Where are you calling from?
I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada, but I was born and raised in San Francisco, California. I'm a true Fillmore Frisco brother. And that black church, these people did nothing for us in Fillmore. Nothing. Not a goddamn thing. All they did was help remodel projects and make them more prison looking. But with that, I'm gonna land my plane like this. There was a brother back in the day, and I went to one of his meetings. His name was Stephen Coakley, and you had a picture up there. And Stephen Coakley in the meeting said, brothers, y'all need to get off y'all white man. You got to get off your white man. In order for us to be truly free, you got to let that white man go. Get off your white man. I land. Peace.
The irony. Caller from area code 719. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Rashawn calling from Lincoln, Nebraska.
All right, Rashawn from Lincoln. What's on your mind?
I was told to call in.
Okay, then you already know why you were told to call in.
Yeah, brother, what's up with your minds, man? I'm blocked from 3 of my devices, man.
Okay, let's not talk stupid or play coy, sir. If they told you to call in, you already know why you were told to call in.
Yeah, I put it in the chat, Brother Jason, why you keep using the N-word, man. I'm blocked from 3 of my devices from the TBA. What's up with them, man? Every time you say something they don't like, they block you.
Okay. How old are you?
I'm 47.
Of course. And what is your complaint or problem with me saying nigga?
No, brother, I'm from the projects, man. I grew up around blacks my whole life, man. the N word, man, is not a connotation of endearment. It's a label of hate put on us by our open enemy.
Okay, yes, sir. I would agree with that particular characterization of that. Have I used that word as an affectation?
No.
Okay, for those of you who don't know what that means, have I used that word as some type of friendly pronoun?
No, I never heard you use it in that text.
Okay,
but,
have I used it towards anybody in a friendly, jocular, look it up, in a friendly, playful manner, sir?
No.
Would it be safe to say that I've used that word toward people in a very hostile manner?
Right.
Then do you think I got my point across by using that word towards them? Was it used in its proper context? Even if you don't agree with the usage of the word, was it used in its proper context?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, brother. It's a label of hate. You know, when you're two-faced and backstabbing friends, when they turn on you, what they call you? When the cops trying their best to kill you, what they call you? When you're in front of a judge, you know what they think and what they call you. So,
well, sir, there are a lot of words. There are a lot of words in the English language that are used by everyone.
Right.
There are a lot of words in the English language that are used by everyone. So by you trying to make the argument that, well, think about what the judges is thinking, sir. They tried to put Bill Cosby in jail for the rest of his life, never called him nigga once. I would have had more respect.
Yeah, they thought about it, though.
Okay, but I would have had more respect for them if they did. I wouldn't have been offended. I would have had more respect for them if they did. They just finished trying to railroad Michael Irvin. They just tried to railroad Michael Irvin. Now, you're sitting up here worried about the use of a word. Well, what about what the judges are thinking? Dude, they giving folk life sentences every damn day. In some cases, ain't got to say much of nothing to them. And you're worrying about language and words. Well, what was the judge thinking? Dude, I'm not worried about what the judge is thinking. I'm worried about what they're doing. You see, the real issue here is when black folk want to get bogged down in semantics, that's usually the resort of people who are not very action-oriented. If you're this motivated that you can sit up here and quibble over semantics, okay, sir, we can go ahead and agree to whatever term you want to. Now, what are we going to do about these people that I was just talking about? Now that I'll agree to whatever label you want to give them. Now that we agree on that, now what do you suggest we do?
What about the coons?
Yes, what do you suggest we do?
The revolution, that's our only solution, man. That's our only solution. We got to get rid of them. Like you say, they are our first obstacles. You can't have them lingering around. We have to get rid of them.
And does identifying them as the niggas in our midst serve as an obstacle to that?
Right.
I'm asking the question, sir. Does identifying them as the niggas in our midst serve as an obstacle to that goal?
No, you got to identify them.
Okay. I think we made some progress here. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Caller from area code 917, you're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Raymond here from Brooklyn by way Harlem.
Raymond from Brooklyn, what's on your mind?
How you doing, Jason? Thank you for asking, sir. Well, I've been thinking about this, and when I tuned into your program today, it's exactly the same what I was thinking. I think that us as a family should adopt, every one of us should adopt a damn coon. Hold your nose and adopt a coon and blow him up. I'm going to choose, since I was born and raised in Brooklyn and New York City, my coon, even though he's still alive, Charles Rangel. Just like, so there's an Amos in every city, believe me. I think that us as a family should be ready.
But sir, are you
get
saying that
that-
you have adopted a coon?
Hold your nose when you do it, so you could blow his ass up. And the coon I adopt is that Charles Rangel. I watched him throughout the 60s and 70s sell Harlem out from under all the black people, 60, 70-year-old black people losing their brownstones. Okay? Let me just say this to him. You think you got away with it, Charles Rangel. You didn't,
Careful.
okay?
Careful now.
You think you
Calm
let me just
down.
say this.
Careful now, sir. Thank you very much for giving us a call. But folks, we don't do that. If you want to speak like that, you need to call them up directly. But this is not the place for that. This is not the place for that. So careful now, folks. Careful. Some of y'all, I start smelling agent. I start sniffing agent. So I'm like, okay, yeah, Jason, we need to go blow it. We need to go do this. No, we don't need to do a damn thing. I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea what you're talking about. Caller from area code 803. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, my name is Leroy Livingston. I'm calling from Greensboro, North Carolina.
All right, Leroy from Greensboro. What's on your mind?
Hi, I just want to tell you, we need to get rid of these coons. We get, all these turncoats throughout history, particularly those who are the baby boomer generation. And maybe something different, but I despise that generation because they sold us out. You got your children and grandchildren of just turncoats. And another thing, they don't have the luxury of time. We all know that this country is a ticking time bomb. We saw money just not only just go out the window, but just banks failing. We're telling them, give us our money for this country to have a chance. But the way that I'm seeing it, and the more and more I see it, is that they would much rather watch this country spiral into madness. And I hope that these buffer classes who also argue against reparations, when that downturn does happen, that they can put that they can pull any type of economic prowess to get this country back up. But we all know they're not going to. So I'm all for B1. Give us our money, because I know that you watch this podcast. Give us our money. B1.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Please do give us a call again. And speaking of which, by the way, there is a little something that happened that kind of upset a bunch of people, man. It kind of upset a bunch of people. A bunch of folks are really in their feelings about it. Because for the longest time, you've been hearing people sit up here and cast aspersions on us and talk on us any old kind of way. And speak about us, particularly about black folk in America supposedly being anti-LGBT, which is just insanity on its face, period. They talk about that, but found this to be very interesting. This just in from Uganda. This just in from the Kingdom of Uganda. Boy, I'm telling you. They took a vote. I mean, they were literally singing.
This country will stand firm. And once it passed, I can tell you, Madam Speaker, we are going to reinforce the law enforcement officers to make sure that homosexuals have no space in Uganda.
But we need more immigrants, remember? We need more immigrants. Why? They work harder. Remember? They work harder. So we need more immigrants, remember? We need more immigrants. Hey everybody, the immigrants thing, yeah. What you say, put an Afro beat to that? Man, y'all are petty. Y'all are petty as hell. Put an Afro beat to that. Where the hell they get y'all from? You wrong for that. You raw and wrong. But yeah, by the way, they took their vote. You see what it says here? Uganda's parliament has passed a law which criminalizes identifying as LGBT and threatens them with 10 years in jail. In the latest sign of rising homophobia in a country where homosexual acts are already illegal, activists and LGBT people in Uganda have said that homosexuality sentiment in the country is exposing them to physical and online violence, and that the bill may have far-reaching consequences for Ugandans in general. Boy, I mean, they big mad about this. Y'all don't understand. The BBC, they big mad. Look at that. Cheers and applause as Uganda passes new bill banning identifying as LGBT. Cheers and applause. Jason, was they really cheering and was they really applauding? Yes, dude, they were really literally cheering, applauding, and singing like it's All's Lang Syne. Oh, I think we found the only Negroes on earth who are off key. Oh, I don't know where this brother came from. You sure ain't foundational. He's every type of off key there is singing that. Oh, no, they're talking about the African performers. Hey, somebody needs to come in with a metronome and a key to get y'all straight. We got to do better than this. If you're going to get a choir together and sing, you got to do better than this. Oh, hell, that Negro sounds like Kodak Black trying to sing. Is that Kodak Black down there on the floor trying to sing? I'm trying to figure out who that is down there. It's damn sure ain't T-Pain. It ain't that. So I'm sitting up here trying to get closer to the screen. Is that Kodak Black down there trying to sing? Damn it. Did Kodak Black go to Uganda? Is he down there trying to bust a note? If somebody, okay, I don't know everything that Africa needs, but I'm certain of one thing. They need auto-tune. Yeah, I'm not 1,000% certain of everything that Africa needs. I got a pretty good idea of most of what they need. I don't know everything, but there's one thing I'm certain about. Yeah, we need an audio engineer and auto-tune. Yeah, that we can get stat. We need to get that quick down there. Yeah, now that y'all done passed the bill, by the way, we need a proper choir director to get y'all straightened up. Because this right here, this is inexcusable. This is inexcusable. You worrying about the LGBT. I'm worried about the treble clef. You're worried about the LGBT. I'm worried about the key of D minor. It's supposed to be E flat, not E flattened. Did he say we need to send Kirk Franklin? Did he say we need to send Kirk Franklin down there? Man, look here. He said we need to send Kirk Franklin. We need to send somebody. We need to send someone. I'm just saying they representing us bad. They're going to see a bunch of black folk and be like, oh, we thought y'all had rhythm and could sing. Well, some of us do, but not everybody. Not everyone. This is how you end up with white women wearing dashikis dancing. This is how you end up with that. She's like, hey, I can do better than him. She's like, hey, I might be back. I can do better than this guy. How y'all gonna kick me out the village? I can sing better than him. How we gonna argue that one? You gotta go. I can sing better than him. Yeah, Mr. Akrua. I can sing better than Mr. Akura. I can sing better than him. It's like, ooh. Oh, man. Better run this by the Supreme Court. Well, you say, where's Akon? Akon is hiding out. He ain't gonna say nothing. Akon hiding out. He ain't gonna say nothing. So yeah, if you want to know what's happening over there, by the way, from the Kingdom of Uganda, yeah, it's illegal to be LGBT. So the next time they try to tell you that we homophobic, you tell a man, look here, you better get back on the boat, back over there to Uganda and go save some people. You better go save them. You've never seen black folk anywhere in America talking about making something like that illegal. Y'all are homophobic. Excuse me, can we round up the Nigerians and the Rwandans? If that's what it's going to be, we ain't going to say nothing? Okay, more immigrants, please. More immigrants, please. Call from area code 708. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Sean, Chicago.
All right, Sean in Chicago, what's on your mind?
Thank you for highlighting the soft sheen maker, which is like the lightest form of oil you can put on your hair. So we really appreciate him, and hopefully he's resting up. But I was calling because when people talk to me about Chicago, if I say, yeah, I'm from Chicago, they always say like, oh, Chirac and all this other stuff and the crime and all that. And everybody keep highlighting like Lori Lightfoot, but and I don't know if this every state, but every state is like, this state is broke up into wards, like different wards. So one ward I live in, like I always know if I go outside, it's going to be like a stop sign check or whatever. And it's like a lot of Hispanics in my area. So it's like the jump out boys in the area. But the ward I live in now, it's like a lot of businesses and it's pretty laid back. But Chicago, Illinois, is broke up into wards. I think the state is in disarray because we keep highlighting just one person, Lori Lightfoot. Everybody know her. But if we look at the different people that's running the wards, they really in charge of like how the state move forward. If you in a poverty ward, well, you go outside, there's like trash in the grass and all that on the Dan Ryan, there's just trash is left there. It's somebody that's in charge of that ward that's supposed to be keeping up with it. You know what I'm talking about? So the state needs to be highlighting the different wards. They seeing immigrants to one ward versus another ward. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, I mean, the problem that I have is that I believe this state has targeted wards. That's the issue that I have. It's not that I don't think they haven't. It's that I feel pretty certain based on the results you're getting. Yeah, I feel like they have. Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get called from area code 929. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Daryl from Chicago.
All right, Daryl from Chicago. What's on your mind?
Jason, excellent broadcast as always. You hit the nail on the head there, and it's wow. That guy Amos Brown. I have relatives that live out in San Francisco. They told me so much about him and everything. And also, I want to give a shout out to the Gardner family because I had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Gardner some years back, and that guy. What he did and what he said, he was real about it. And Chicago gets a bad rap on a lot of things, but there were some people out there that really stood up, and he was one of them.
Yeah, I mean,
And
Chicago
I
is one of those places that is really kind of forgotten where black folk are concerned, because everybody talks about, Al Capone or whatever, but black folk was getting things done in Chicago.
That's right.
Black folk been getting things done for decades, so that's why it's been so important to shut black folk down in Chicago, because to all intents and purposes, Chicago is the sister city to New York City. There's a reason why it grew up the way it was and blew up the way it did. So everybody talks about New York, but Chicago basically is the sister city to New York. And it's been very important to make sure that black folk don't get inroads there. Chicago is really, when you think about it, as far as the North American continent. I don't mean the nation of the United States of America, but as far as the North American continent, Chicago is extremely strategically located. Is a very strategically located place. You literally could basically logistically get to any place in Canada and any place south in the United States from Chicago. That's really, it's always been a major distribution point. That's why UPS has its main hub in Chicago. UPS is, now FedEx's main hub is in Memphis, but UPS's main hub is in Chicago. I've driven by it a few times. Gigantic warehouse there, huge structure. So that's a very strategic thing. With the tallest building in America for years was the Sears Tower, now called the Willis Tower. Yeah. But that was the tallest structure in America for years and years. Right. It took the crown from the Empire State Building. It was the tallest one for years, not in New York City, in Chicago. So Chicago has always had a pedigree and resources and an ability, but what you run into is the same old game where they're trying to figure out, we talk about a rising tide lifting all boats. Meanwhile, the white supremacist society is trying to figure out, how can we get a rising tide that only lifts our boat? The water rises, but it lifts us and it drowns everybody else. How do we do that? And Chicago has been an incubator for trying to target black people in that way, in a none too subtle fashion. Let's be very clear. When you're talking about John Burge, that's good old fashioned Bull Connor police brutality there. This guy's sitting up here literally torturing people at the damn police station. I'm like, I'm from Louisiana. That reminds me of back there. Not in Louisiana, but in Chicago. But the reason for that is because most of y'all came from the South. The black folk who are in Chicago are mostly expats from the southern states, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. They either went north or when you get to the 60s, they go west into Los Angeles. But before that, they're going north in Chicago. So most of y'all got southern roots. And when they saw y'all coming with that, and Henry Ford, when they saw y'all coming to Chicago and Detroit, they were like, oh, hell no. This is going to be a problem in 20 years. If we don't keep them on a tight leash, this is going to be a problem in 20 years. So you have been living under domestic terrorism. You've been literally locked and boxed. It is the most segregated city in America. There's literally one racial group on one side of the street and another one on the other side of the street. You can't have nothing like that without tight control, man. You can't have anything like that unless there is very tight control. And I'm not talking about locally, because money should have busted up them lines by now. Gentrification should have busted up them lines by now, but it hasn't. So that tells you that comes from the top.
Yep. You're absolutely right.
That's a for real situation there. So black folk was making moves, black folk were getting things done, but you had to have an oppressive boot like that. You got to.
Yes.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me get caller area code 202. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hello, I don't want to identify myself. However, I wanted to talk about the problem.
Caller from area code 415. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Woke about.
Caller from area code 404. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Brother Aquarius calling from Atlanta, Georgia.
All right, Farius from Atlanta. What's on your mind?
I just had a question. My question is, I don't understand why as Black Americans we're fighting to stay in this country when we see that we're targeted.
Because we don't run and we don't flee. That's not in our character or our nature. We built this country. It is our birthright. We are not trying to run and flee to a place that is not our country and not our birthright.
I understand that, but I was thinking that what you said about Dr. Martin Luther King boycotting and causing problems for the economy, and then Professor Black too says that white supremacy power lies in its economy. But if my personal thought is that every Black person in this country should leave and allow the economy to fall without us.
Leave. Okay, sir, leave and go where?
That we traced our roots back to where we were stolen from and fought for citizenship.
Sir, you're talking about a genetic link. You are not talking about an ethnic or geographic one. You're talking about a genetic link to places that don't even exist anymore. Wherever you would try to take us
Okay,
back,
so
wherever you would try to quote, and by the way, they only make this argument to black folk. They never make this argument to anybody else that the solution for them is to get up and go back where they came from, to go trace their genetics, and wherever your genetics say, you just need to follow that. They never sit up here and tell other folk they need to get a genetic compass and they need to follow that. They only say that to us. But sir, by the way, even if you did such a thing, the places that you're trying to take us back to and deposit us don't even exist anymore.
Oh, well, I'll shut up because I was unaware of that. I'm sorry.
Thank you very much for
this.
giving us a call. But he said he's thought about this. He's really researched this. No, sir, you really haven't. Caller from area code 773. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Demarius from Chicago by way of Oklahoma City.
All right, Daenerys from Chicago. What's on your mind?
Well, thank you for taking my call, Jason. It is my second time calling. I rarely do. So thank you. I just wanted to say that the term Chirac, from my memory, it started back in 2014. I remember reading it in the Red Eye paper on the front cover saying Chicago's the most dangerous city, has more murders than during the Iraq War or something. I think I was a sophomore in high school, and I knew it was not a coincidence that that happened during Obama's first presidential term. So it's always been a racist talking point. I've definitely heard it from white people a whole lot. Well, I heard it was dangerous. Yeah, but I've never seen Chicago on any list of like a dangerous city.
Well, here's the interesting thing.
Of course, way overblown.
Here's the interesting thing. When John Burge was running around grabbing people, terrorizing them, torturing them, they never identified or characterized that as what makes Chicago the most dangerous city.
Yeah, 100%. They don't want to talk about the abductions or organ harvesting. Or
okay, let's talk about the black. You know what?
Happens.
We don't even have to go. We don't have to go into the world of. We don't even have to go into the world of speculation. What about the black sites? That alone is enough.
Black people's homes during like birthday parties for little kids.
Okay, thank you very much for giving us a call. I'm not sure if he's not hearing us or whatever, but I don't want both of us talking at the same time. But yeah, they never identify those things as a problem. They never identify that as an issue. John Burge kidnapping folk, black sites, that's not dangerous. When the state does it, that's cool. That's not dangerous. Caller from area code 301, you're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, my name is Charles, calling from D.C. How you doing?
Charles from D.C., what's on your mind?
It's not really surprising by this terrible behavior from these bourgeois blacks and such. They have this idea of, I got mine, screw you. And that's why majority of these people my age and younger, I'm in millennial, late millennial and such, they don't listen to them anymore. They don't listen. Because the NCAACP is a relic of a dead time with a dead leadership of baby boomers who just wanted what term said, interracial sexual access. That's pretty much what they were getting for in mostly in the civil rights movement. That's sad. And even during the civil rights movement, you had one of the main pillars of it, Martin Luther King. When this stuff was going on, he said he is afraid of letting their children into a burning house after he made that grand speech of like, we want I want to be together, all that stuff they play every Martin Luther King Day. He said no. He felt like he led his children to a burning house, and not just the house is not only burning, there is no house left. And these bourgeois blacks who are just running away into these perfectly neighborhoods that hit, and that's the real sad part or hilarious part if you think about it, is that if they have one step, one cross thing, it's gone. And they're just right back with the rest of us, and they're gonna be trying to beg and saying, "See, I'm down with you now." I'm like, no, and none of the kids or people my age are falling for it, and I'm so happy about that. Anyway, keep doing what you're doing. Catch you later. Peace.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight here. When we talk about being on code, you got to understand what that means too. And being on code means that we don't allow a backstabbing culture. I've warned you all about this before. That a lot of this thing here, they're bringing over groups of folk. They might have the same skin color or whatever, but they come from cultures where, betraying each other is just the way they get down. In Rwanda, you got folks living next door to people who killed their mothers and fathers during the Civil War, and they still sitting there. And everybody's just sitting there. South Africa, you're sitting up here, Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which means let the bad guys go. So they just get to sit there in the city, and there you are. See, we're different. We don't come from a backstabbing culture. But they've been trying hard as hell to indoctrinate us into a backstabbing culture. That you're not to expect anything and every man for himself. They've been trying to indoctrinate us into that ever since. And we're not taken to it. Now we're pushing back against it harder than we ever have. So they're trying to flood the zone with people who come from places that unfortunately have adopted a backstabbing culture. That's just the way they get down. Ain't trying to diss nobody but my brothers and sisters from Jamaica, my brothers and sisters from Haiti, my brothers and sisters from the Dominican Republic, brothers and sisters from Puerto Rico, Cuba, Nigeria, Ghana. We got to keep it all the way funky. The reason you got up out of there was because everybody's a rat and everybody's backstabbing. There is no code except when white folks show up. Now, when white folks show up, all of a sudden you're a model citizen. Now there's a code. When white folks show up, all of a sudden you adopt a code. The problem is you adopt the coon code. That's the problem. But when white folks show up, all of a sudden you find a code. You find a set of beliefs. You find a tenet of a belief statement. And you got a code of conduct. We're used to the idea and the ability of developing a code in and of and amongst ourselves. And you can't have a code that you cannot enforce. So this is why you see so many of them and they want to join the police departments and things. You got to understand something. That's something in particular you notice among them. They want to join the police departments, but they don't want to join the police departments to fight white supremacy. They want to join it because all this time they've been looking for an end. See, if your mind and your heart has been colonized, that's a problem. The folk we want to rock with are the ones whose minds and hearts have not been colonized, that they're not looking for a way to sit up here and slither their way under the boot of white supremacy. We're looking for them. And they looking for us. But we don't have any interest or anything to do with anybody who does not have a code. Bobby Rush been off code for decades now. He been off code for decades. There's a reason why everything he touched falling apart. Everybody that he backed can't win. Because the streets don't fool with Bobby. The people don't fool with Bobby, and Bobby knows it. He gonna show up for the white politicians so he can get a picture taken because he's still addicted to attention. And then when they leave, he knows he gotta get up off the block. You're not respected. You ain't respected. You ain't respected. Now he's sitting up here trying to snuggle up with the white politicians to try to camouflage and cover that up. But he's not gaining any more respect. The young folk don't fool with Bobby. You take a look around, Bobby. It's a bunch of old folk. Missing teeth, missing brains, missing self-respect. Is that a bonnet back there? So Vallis knows the type of Negroes he's trying to get. He knows the one he's trying to get. The geriatric people, the I've got my card at Walmart for the $4 prescription medication. He got them, but you ain't got the next generation, which means that your time has an expiration date. If the next generation ain't fooling with you, then your world order has an expiration date. And we've done everything in our power to instill that, and that is exactly what we're going to do. That is exactly what we've done. So Bobby doesn't represent the soil. Truth be told, we don't know if he ever did. We don't know if he ever did. But he doesn't represent it now. Want to send a big shout out here to my man Tommy Felix in the super chat, supporting the B1 Media as always. Portland, Oregon. Watch your back up there, brother. We appreciate it. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the haven of intelligent black thought. We do this every weekend. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we're here. If you haven't been to our website, blackchannelfilms.com, you want to go there and check out our groundbreaking, best-selling documentary work, 7 a.m., Gentrified, Race War, all available on DVD and streaming. Go to blackchannelfilms.com. That is blackchannelfilms.com. I want to thank Black Cybernetics and everyone else who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, CashApp, Super Chat, Venmo. Thank you all for tuning in live or recorded. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future and the future can't be co-opted.